For the last story of the day, we are here with the coup de grace. I don't even know what that word means, but I've seen people use it and it's provocative. It gets the people going. You feel it? Do you feel the energy, baby? That's what I'm talking about. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. And if you don't, it's your fault. I need you to get it together. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Hopefully I didn't destroy your ears with that one, but we are over in the r/am I the asshole subreddit with a post by Lightning Straits. Am I the asshole for raining on my cousin's parade regarding the name she picked out for her baby? My cousin Stephanie and I are really more friends than relatives. An important note is that she's not really online much, so she can be out of the loop on certain memes and jokes in internet culture, and to be honest, doesn't really understand the concept of viral internet references or how they work. Stephanie is pregnant and just found out it was going to be a girl. About a week ago, she told a gathering of her best girlfriends that she was going to name her daughter Karen. The room instantly went cold, but after an awkward silence, everyone else pointedly said it was lovely. I couldn't bring myself to respond at all. Later in the evening, when Stephanie was out of the room, everyone was immediately like, OMG, that poor kid. And why would she pick Karen of all names? I was uncomfortable with this conversation, given that everyone had been so positive about the name to her face. I thought more about it over the next couple of days and just felt really weird about the whole thing. The name is really loaded, to the point it could be detrimental to the baby, and Stephanie had no idea of the connotations to make an informed decision. So a couple of days later, I tentatively brought it up. I told her I was so excited for the baby and just wanted her to have all the available information when picking a name. I then started to explain that Karen has some negative connotations and has become sort of an internet joke to describe a specific kind of entitled middle-aged woman. Stephanie was instantly furious and started talking over me, saying, "Why are you saying this? This is so mean." I was really surprised by her reaction. It felt very, very out of character. So I immediately stopped talking and said, "I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I just wanted to tell you something I thought you might not know." She replied, "That's the name I picked for my daughter, and you think I picked it as some sort of joke? I don't understand why you would say something so hurtful." When she said that, I felt like it signaled that she didn't really understand what I was trying to tell her. So after agonizing for a second about whether to press the issue, even though she was so angry, I felt like in for a penny, in for a pound. And since she was already mad, I wanted her to at least understand what I was trying to explain to her. So I Googled, "Karen, know your mean," on my phone and tried to show her the screen of results while saying, "Look, I'm just saying that there's more meaning to the name than you may realize." She stood up, pushed my phone away, and shouted, "Wow." She then stormed out of my home and drove away. My aunt and mom have been berating me all week because Stephanie told them that I made fun of her baby name. Stephanie has not spoken to me or responded to my text since. I can take a hint, and I'm not going to broach the topic again that's caused so much distress, but I keep going back and forth on whether I was the asshole here by bringing it up in the first place. And you already know that this is an old one, but this is an absolute classic, right? Because the top comment with 1,700 upvotes is, "You're the asshole." You really think it's going to matter when this kid's older? It's a meme. Oh, and for anyone pregnant or planning to have kids, this is why you don't reveal the baby name until they're born. Someone's always got something stupid to say, no matter what. Yeah, precisely. Internet memes come and go in a flash. I think OP is massively exaggerating the likelihood that the associations will stick around. These people are dumb. They don't know what they said. They would have been spot on, but to this day, people are still throwing Karen around. Ooh, I could not imagine this kid being bullied out of existence. 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. Yes, they would have been bullied. Ooh. Let's read the update. We're not even going to read through all these comments like that. Edits. Number 1. Thanks, everyone. I have been properly schooled and I accept my judgment that I was the asshole here. Stephanie and I have a history of being extremely open and honest with each other. I was the maid of honor in her wedding, which she planned on being the case from a young age. And we always joked as teenagers that part of my duties would include talking her out of the marriage if the groom she picked sucked. And so maybe I was too flippant when approaching this topic due to our history and was unempathetic in understanding how much she was already invested in the name she chose for her future daughter. I admit I'm a bit frustrated that Stephanie still doesn't understand what I was trying to tell her. She still thinks I was trying to make some kind of weird, cruel joke, accusing her of picking a name that's a joke. But I have messaged her a sincere apology that she accepted. I will never speak of this again to Stephanie or baby Karen. I'll also stand up for Stephanie if her other friends shit talk the name around me again. If they're not willing to voice their thoughts to Stephanie directly, they need to not say the kind of things they were behind her back. Edit number 2, one more thing. I was definitely not trying to tell Stephanie to not name her daughter Karen. I just wanted her to make the decision either way, knowing the connotations, since I'd want someone to do the same for me if I picked a baby name with the cultural baggage I wasn't aware of. I realize now I handled it poorly and was hurtful to Stephanie in the process, but I just wanted to be clear that I wasn't actively trying to talk her out of the name. I just didn't want her to be blindsided if it came up later. Kids are cruel. Kids are cruel. This post is 7 years old that I'm reading right now. This post came up right essentially after Karen came into existence as a word, as a phrase, as a meme, as a saying. And this baby would have been bullied to shit as 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, because this is also that point in time when babies really started being iPad kids. They really started being YouTube kids. So it would have been, the baby would have been, it would have been 2024 for the kid, 2023 for the kid going into school. They would have been bullied mercilessly. Can I say the word? Mercilessly. Can I say the word? 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 We're going to move on to the updates, the real update. We got several updates. I'm glad you're here for me for this ride. We're going to read this out and bang it out. We're over to updates. Am I the asshole for raining on my cousin's parade regarding the name she picked out for her baby? My post last summer wasn't the most exciting or dramatic on Am I the Asshole, but I wanted to provide an update if anyone is interested. Baby Karen was born healthy and happy back in October. She's an absolute sweetheart of a baby, and I'm totally in love with her. Between March and May, I didn't get to see her at all in person, but I was doing regular FaceTime / house party calls with Stephanie and Karen. And over the last few weeks, I've been going over to Stephanie's house to sit in her backyard and chat with Stephanie / company. I've been going over to Stephanie's house to sit in her backyard and chat with Stephanie / cool at Karen from a lengthy distance. This is pandemic times. Pandemic. I have 2 reasons for updating. First, I've realized since Karen's birth that her name has taken on a new meaning to me. When I'm with her, Karen just means her. I don't think about the other connotations. In other words, you guys were right. That said, though, my second reason for updating is that Stephanie got back into her years unused Facebook at the beginning of the pandemic to keep in touch with people. She's been on it pretty regularly lately for the first time in years. Historically, she's not really been into social media. Most people in our area / social circle have been posting really heavily about Black Lives Matters and the protests happening right now, as well as racial justice issues more generally. As a result, Stephanie has now come into contact with a deluge of Karen memes for the first time and found them confusing and horrifying, especially the use of Karen as a shorthand for a racist. I basically just declined to talk about it with Stephanie because it went so poorly last time, but both my mother and her mother, have hounded me about it because it's upsetting Stephanie and said things like, is this what you were talking about before? Why didn't you say so? Why didn't you explain it better? You should have told Stephanie. And Jesus wept. You just can't really win. Thanks again for all your feedback on my last post. It was really helpful in giving me some zen about the situation. You got to really be ready in your life to box it out with anybody. You really got to be ready to box it out with anybody. Because here we go. Here we go. These people want to jump on you. These individuals, your mother, her mother, and Stephanie's hormonal ass. Right. She was pregnant, right? She wasn't trying to hear nothing. Not truly pissed at her, but your mom and her mom need to back the fuck up, get the fuck out of your face, right? With that bullshit. You want to have strong opinions while you lack all the knowledge. You are a benighted individual. And I hate people like that. You are not allowed to have strong opinions when you know nothing about a topic. You are supposed to shut the fuck up and listen. You are supposed to look up what is being talked about, do research if you want to participate. If you want to know what's going on, shut the fuck up and listen. Maybe you'll learn something. Ugh. That's what's really wrong with the world right now. Everyone's got a fucking opinion, but they don't know anything. Right? Everyone wants to have an opinion, but they don't want to listen to people who actually know what the fuck they're talking about. We have so many doctors for the first time ever really actually talking to the public about issues that take place. And then other people are getting online thinking that they know shit, talking about things that they have not been trained to speak on, that they have not been put into an education system that they chose themselves to speak about. Right? You are not educated on the topics that you are speaking on. You should shut the fuck up. Up. I give my opinions and simple opinions on things on the internet that are somewhat simple topics, and I don't dive too deeply into them. But when they are deep topics, I am pulling up the documentation, the data, the research, the articles written up by people with master's degrees and PhDs, motherfuckers from Harvard's. I'm talking like a jackass right now. From Harvard's. I'm leaving it up to the people who actually knows what the fuck is going on, right? You don't just get my opinion. You get an informed, precise sliver of information that you can then go and research more yourself from me, from other people. I am just a voice, right? If you have any takeaway from any of these things, that you need to absolutely look shit up yourself and don't use AI. It lies. Everyone says it hallucinates. If I'm hallucinating and you're asking me a question that you don't know the answer to, that you're about to put down on the test on a paper, that you're about to tell other people, then you're going to act like the arbiter of truth. You can't get that information from me, and I am lying 25% of the time. You won't know what is true. Top comment from Badger Hooker with 200 upvotes. Oh my gosh. Are they serious? It's not my fault you guys didn't believe me. Are you a saint for not saying I told you so? And OP replies, to be fair, Stephanie has been cool about it. First, she saw a bunch of posts about the Central Park Karen when that white lady was harassing the black bird watcher in the park and came to me asking to explain why everyone was calling the woman Karen when her name was Amy. Since she's gotten back on Facebook, she often asked me to be like her internet culture interpreter. There are TikTok accounts for this, and this is definitely not when TikTok was around, but UrbanDictionary.com would have got you together. I immediately told her, sorry, I'm not having a conversation with you about this because we had a major conflict over it last year, and I'm not getting into it with you. I think that was the first time she started to understand what I've been telling her last year. And in fairness to her, she didn't bring it up with me again after that. As for my mom and aunt, they're kind of generally ridiculous. They tend to be extremely reactive to whatever is going on precisely at that moment. As if someone in the family is upset, they get overly involved trying to fix it. Stephanie has been venting to her mom about this, not about me, just how upsetting the memes are. And she and my mom have just been doing their normal kind of thing, blowing it out of proportion, and now making it my fault somehow. I love my mom and aunt dearly, but they're not to be reasoned with. Okay, they need a reset. Smack them on the back of the head, right? And that's the factory reset. Smack them on the back of the head. Oh, you can't hit me. Smack them on the back of the head. You're my smack them on the back of the head. Right? If their health is in good order, smack them on the back of the head. Right? Because their mental health is not where it needs to be. Obviously, their brain there's a little scrambled. When back in the day, shit, the remote's not working. Shit, the TV's not working. You smack it on the back of the head. That gets it working, right? Right? Oh man, don't try to live life as if your parents are always right. They're wrong most of the time. That's just the reality of things. There's so much going on in the entirety of the universe. The amount of things that they know and the amount of things that they know that is actually correct for the level of information that they know it's at makes them infinitesimally wrong. And I can't even get that word out. That's how you know that I'm wrong. Parents live their lives like their children belong to them, like they are property, like they are a being that is like a god to them. And when you question them, when you tell them that they are wrong, they get flabbergasted, they get incredulous, and they act out of order. Right? They act like kids themselves. And hopefully you don't have parents like that. Hopefully you can correct your parents. Hopefully you don't have to do a lot of heavy lifting to even convince them that what they're doing is wrong. But I do. Hey, mom and dad. Hi. Get your shit together. So just smack them on the back of the head. I don't do that to my parents. But I'm absolutely yelling at them. Right. I'm a person that hates to be told that he's wrong, especially when I put so much effort into surrounding myself with educational information as far as my social media feed, as far as my level of research that I do. All right. I am not a master's or PhD candidate. So the level of research that I am capable of doing does not equal out to the level of research that professionals in specific fields are capable of doing. But I generally have my shit together. Right. If my stats aren't just a couple years old, I have my shit together. Right. Especially when things are relevant to what's going on in the world right now. Moving on to the next updates. Update on baby Karen, if anyone is still following this. Hi, all. I've gotten a few PMs over the last couple of years asking for updates. And since we just celebrated Karen's 3rd birthday, I wanted to circle back to anyone following the story. First of all, baby Karen, not so much of a baby anymore, is doing amazingly on her developmental milestones. She's a very bright child, sharp as the sharpest tack, and extremely tuned into her environment. Some of what she says is already fully in complete synthesis, which just makes me want to cry when I hear it, because it seems like Stephanie was just giving birth yesterday. Karen loves books already and will intently study the picture in them for huge stretches of time and claim to be reading. And you would not believe the uncomfortably incisive questions she's asking already. I'm fully convinced this child is going to grow up to be an actual genius. Regarding the name, unfortunately, when Karen started daycare earlier this year, she started getting grief for her name pretty quickly from the older kids. The daycare she attends mixes the ages together at a couple of different points throughout the day. And while there fortunately wasn't much direct bullying, 2 of the age 5s must have heard and internalized the derogatory connotations of the name Karen at home. As a result, they found the name absolutely hysterical. They kind of spread the idea to the other kids that there was something funny / wrong about her name. Karen was too little to understand what was happening, but found the other kids' behavior towards her generally upsetting. The daycare staff made every effort to shut it down and let Stephanie and her husband know right away. After about a month of this, where the daycare wasn't having much success putting the kibosh on this behavior and the kids weren't dropping it, Stephanie and her husband made the decision that Karen would be going by Carrie from now on, which was already an established nickname that a lot of family and friends were already using, and that Karen already recognized herself as referring to that. Stephanie and I never really fully revisited what was happening during her pregnancy, but when she was telling me about what was happening in daycare, she apologized to me. I immediately felt horrible and reassured her there was no reason to apologize. Emotions are complicated when you're pregnant, and that I thought having Karen go by Carrie was a great solution. Though changing what you're used to calling someone is fucking hard, I found that I'm still directly addressing her on manual mode every single time. A lot of responses I got to my last post were gleeful and then leaned into Schadenfreude. Leaned into the Schadenfreude. What the fuck are we saying here? Schadenfreude. Huh. Pleasure derived by someone from another person's misfortune. A lot of responses I got to my last post were gleeful and leaned into the Schadenfreude of the situation. And I have to say, those responses really bummed me out. I would much rather live in a world where I was wrong about the impact Karen's name would have on her. I cannot emphasize enough what a sweet disposition, smart, curious, loving little girl Carrie is, and how much she deserves every good thing in life. A lot of people didn't like Stephanie in my last post, but I need you to understand that this is a tiny snapshot of a very emotional, high-strung time in her life. And overall, Stephanie is a wonderful, lifelong friend. She has gotten me through so many personal crises over the years, and she will never fail to show up for the people she cares about. Being pregnant and having a strong emotional attachment to the name you picked out for your daughter is completely understandable, and her pregnancy was pretty rough on her moods. She once wept uncontrollably at a cat food commercial when she was about 7 months pregnant. Okay. I also think my approach for trying to explain the name issue those years ago was very clumsy, and I could have done a better job of bringing it up. That said, with the distance of time, I am really glad I did broach the topic. I feel like I owe Stephanie that information, and I can feel good about giving it to her. If I had chosen to not bring it up at the time, I think I have a lot of regrets now. The only thing I change now, looking back, is that I would try to bring it up more gently somehow with Stephanie so I could have the chance to explain. In summary, all is well. We've run into a little bump on the road with other kids' reactions to Carrie's name, but in some ways it's better to get this out of the way now when Carrie doesn't really understand what's happening than have this happen in kindergarten or elementary school down the road when full-on bullying could be a risk. She's adjusting really well to going by her nickname full-time, and Stephanie and her husband are planning on enrolling her with Carrie as her preferred name in future schooling. And since schools around here go by preferred name rather than legal name in things like classroom roll calls, it's possible she can get through K through 12 without it ever really being widely known among her peers that her legal name is Karen. And I hope this common usage of the name Karen dies down in the next few years. Edit. Really disappointed by getting the hate responses directed at Carrie. Wishing that terrible things befall her and calling her the C word. Please remember, she's an innocent child. What the fuck? Edit number 2. Point of clarification, the boys at daycare apparently didn't know that Karen was a name. Oh, the way the boys heard it used at home made them think it was just a term used to insult people and that it might be a bad word. That's why they found it so funny, because in their worldview, it was like meeting someone named Fartface or asshole. Okay. The daycare staff explained to them that Karen is a real name and that lots of people are named Karen. And of course, they tried their best to curtail the mockery, but nothing really helped until the name change and a little bit of time had passed. Things at the daycare are now back to normal, and other kids are calling her Carrie, and everyone has, fortunately, moved on. Edit number 3, please don't harass Redditors who gave "you're the asshole" judgment on my first post. They gave their honest judgment at the time in an online space specifically set up for that purpose. I didn't post on an advice sub, I posted on a judgment sub. And there's no reason to call people to Matt for judgments I asked for. Made in good faith from 3 years ago. No, I can berate motherfuckers for their opinions years ago, even if they change it now. You said some stupid shit, right? Just the same way how you regret your actions from the past, I can talk shit about somebody's actions from the past, right? If you regret your shit, they should regret their shit, right? If you regret, you can say it. You can say it. You can, definitely they can't update their comments at this point, but today, right? And the realities are those people, they fucked up. Top comment. So Stephanie can only dish out. What a great friendship you have. LMAO. I'm sorry, but y'all's friends suck. Your mom and I, who blamed you as well. Gosh, I'm glad I have 2 friends and low contact with crazy people. OP replies, Stephanie is genuinely a great friend and great person. She once dropped everything and drove 300 miles because I had just been in a relatively minor car accident in a city I lived in alone as a young adult. She once gifted me $1,500, no questions asked, and insisted I never even think about paying it back when I needed to get out of a really bad cohabitating situation while broke. When we were teenagers and the cool boy she had a massive crush on made fun of me for something I was extremely sensitive about, instead of keeping quiet, she blew her top, stuck up for me, and told him off, then led me away to comfort me away from him. She is loyal and kind, and she is loyal and kind and has incredible character. This post is such a tiny, tiny snapshot of who she is as a person. When I raised my concern, Stephanie was emotional, very pregnant, and somewhat sleep deprived. Her pregnancy was rough on her body and on top of hormones. I think she was just genuinely confused by what I was trying to tell her. I really hope so. I still be hurt, but I guess that's your relationship. In the end, only the kid was hurt. We're moving on to the next update, baby. Moving on, moving on, moving on. All right, we got the newest and probably final update on baby Carrie. For those of you who have contacted me asking for an update, I wanted to circle back and close the book on baby Karen/Carrie chapter. As of last month, Carrie is now legally Caroline, and she has been issued a new birth certificate with her new legal name. The daycare bullying issues had already died down since Stephanie and her husband switched to calling her Carrie, but this legal change now means that the Karen issue won't crop up again when she starts school. There were also some other minor incidents that pushed Stephanie and her husband to make the decision around a legal name change. They were getting to the point where almost any time they were having to provide Karen's legal name to get a service, they were getting an immediate reaction, even from adults. It was usually just a meaningful look, but barbed comments were not unusual. Love the way OP writes, barbed comments. Like, what would make you type that out of all words? The final straw was when they were at the airport getting ready to fly to visit Stephanie and Stephanie's in-laws with Carrie. The TSA agent at security made a snarky comment, and then later when they needed to ask the gate agent about their seats, the gate agent rudely laughed at seeing Carrie's ticket, then showed the gate agent standing next to her, who just shook her head and said, "Poor kid," to her coworker while fully ignoring Stephanie and her husband. And they had this interaction in front of Carrie. Ooh. Something about that day in the airport was a turning point for Stephanie and her husband, and they started the name change process as soon as they got home. It was much easier than they were expecting, and a total grand cost of $30. Carrie is a joyful, sociable little girl, and while it's impossible to know right now if these negative experiences cause any lasting damage, and I sincerely hope they did not, I'm happy to see that she continues to be a very outgoing, confident child. The conversation with Stephanie I mentioned in my October update was awkward and brief, but we've actually gotten back into it a few times since. Stephanie has apologized profusely for her initial reaction when we first talked. I've apologized for approaching things so poorly and not telling her right away about what our friends were saying behind her back. And in those conversations, we've mainly ended up focusing on the resulting spiraling of my mom and aunts and what a mess that turned into. Together, we've started to unpack some of the intergenerational shit around our family issues. That's good. To provide some of that context, our maternal grandparents were a nightmare. Our grandfather was an authoritarian revivalist preacher who was physically abusive and referred to himself as the spiritual leader and ultimate authority of the family. Good Lord. Our grandmother was a manipulative narcissist who psychologically tormented my mom and aunt for their entire childhoods. As a result, my mom and aunt trauma bonded considerably during their childhood and grew into extremely anxious and reactive adults. Any whiff of conflict sends them into panic mode, and in our family, we have these well-worn grooves of behavioral habits with my mom and aunt overreacting to anything that feels like discord and scrambling to clumsily smooth things over. As a result, Stephanie and I have both been working hard to build better boundaries with our mom's generation and have agreed to be really cautious about what information we give them, especially anything that's highly emotional. I've been in therapy for a couple of years now, and Stephanie has also started going to therapy last year. We've been talking about the ways that my grandparents traumatizing our moms caused intergenerational issues that impacted us. And Stephanie is determined that the cycle ends with her and that these issues will not go on to touch Carrie. Thank you, everyone, for your kind words, both here on my profile post and on the best of update reposts, which I've also been reading. I've gotten some incredibly thoughtful and kind messages which have meant a lot to me, even if I haven't had the chance to respond to them. For those who may still be critical of Stephanie, I again want to emphasize how out of character her initial reaction was and how much physical, hormonal, and emotional upheaval she was in the time. These posts are a teeny tiny window into just one aspect of the dynamic, funny, kind, caring, full human being that my cousin and best friend is. Stephanie has been my most loyal and trusted friend for pretty much my entire life, and she has fully earned some grace for reacting less than perfectly to my extremely clumsy approach when she was sleep deprived, hormonally wrecked, and brain fogged. Stephanie has read these posts now as well, along with most of your comments, and after I explained to her what Reddit is, they were helpful to both of us in our talks about our weird family dynamic. I can't imagine I'll have any more updates down the line, but thanks for the following along the last few years. Edit to add one final reminder, as this is being posted in the update sub, please don't tag or send harassing messages or comments to anyone who gave me a "you're the asshole" judgment 3 years ago. People gave me an honest judgment based on the information available at the time, and I was specifically soliciting judgments rather than advice. Hindsight is always 2020, and I'm appreciative of people giving me the perspective I was asking for 3 years ago, regardless of how things turned out, right? And this post at this point in time is 3 going on 4 years old. So again, this is the very beginning of Karen turning into a meme, turning it into a moniker for people who are just racist, uptight, entitled losers, right? And before we hit the comment section, we're going to go over to Urban Dictionary, because that's what Stephanie should have did back in the day. Back in the day. We're going to hit this for the one time. And Karen is a middle-aged woman, typically blonde, makes solutions to others' problems and inconvenience to her, although she isn't even remotely affected. Uh, Karen sues the local city council after they installed a new stop sign that hides the sun from her window for 2 minutes a day. The sign was installed after a schoolboy on his bike was hit by a speeding driver and died. Karen refuses to wear a mask for her 5 minute power trip. Oh, shit, I misread that all the way. Her power trip. Karen refuses to wear a mask for her 5 minute trip to the supermarket during the pandemic. She harasses the workers, asks to see the manager, and threatens to sue. Karen complains that her favorite parking spot was replaced by a ramp for wheelchairs. She parks her car in the old spot anyway and shoots a vlog about it. This is June 1st, 2020. This is, this is probably the earliest definition period. Oh, good Lord. Karen is a pejorative term used in the United States and other English speaking countries for a woman perceived as entitled or demanding beyond the scope of what is appropriate or necessary. A common stereotype is that of a white woman who uses her privilege to demand her own way at the expense of others. These two definitions right here from June 1st and August 17th, 2020. Spot on, spot on. Sliding down to the top comment, which I don't even know if that is the top comment technically. Probably it was originally, but not anymore. Oh, no, it's not. It's set to a Q&A default. Let me see. Here's the top comment because this is on her page. It's so interesting how white culture has taken what was an inside joke among people of color, particularly black people, a coping mechanism, something we use to identify a very particular and very dangerous behavioral tactic used by white women to be racist without consequences. White culture took that and ran with it. When you first posted Am I the Asshole, which is primarily a white U.S. community, I hadn't heard of the term, so judged you harshly. Oh, okay, I see. I misread that. In the years since, it became impossible for your cousin to keep Karen as her daughter's legal name. The racist behavior now universally associated with Karen hasn't been addressed. There's been no mass reflection on racist Karen behavior and a meaningful change. Just the name Karen demonized. It's amazing that you and your cousin are taking the time to address how your mother's behavior has affected you both and make a change. I hope your parents will be able to join you in that journey. And what a relief that Carrie now has a name changed and can develop without being immediately assumed a racist. That would have been awful for her. There's not much to add there. There's not much to add there. To be honest, there's people being like, oh, wait, how can you bring race into this? And they're either being ripped apart by Excel_pager_420, or they're just not understanding or not caring, which seems like they're white. All right. People will definitely be like, hey, I'm not white. I guarantee you're wrong and a racist for saying that I'm white. How is that racist? All right. These people. There's always going to be stupid people in the comment section for these posts. And this is annoying. But you think about it. Karen, woke, black fatigue, terms and words stolen that we have used to identify the messed up things that white people do to us and to themselves. And in reality, nothing changes. Nothing changes. Here, it seems like OP and her cousin / best friend, they're going to therapy. They're trying to be better people. They're not trying to be like their parents. They're trying to be so much better than them. They see the flaws, they see the issues, and they're like, ooh, I can't give that to my children. Ooh, I can't pass that along. Ooh, I can't maneuver through life where I may be broken. I may have been raised incorrectly. I may have habits and thoughts that are just simply wrong, and I need to work on that. Right? Other people just aren't. People think that they're always right. People think that their parents did such a great job raising them, and they're fucking wrong. Honestly, they're wrong. I hear it over and over and over again. Right? My parents did an amazing job. I wouldn't change anything. Right? I hope I can be as good as them. And I look at these people. I'm like, you are a fucking mess. But of course, I don't say that to them because I work with them. But right, these people are still bending over backwards, taking an ass from a guy whose last name starts with a T and ends with a P, who was on a certain island. On an island. Man, exhausted divinity comments. Why do you apologize for your approach again and again? I mean, because shit. I don't know. I would have went harder. I wouldn't have let my sleep deprived ass cousin dip out like that. Nope. Sit your ass down. We gotta talk. You're about to fuck up. We can sit down. It's about your baby. It's about the baby. This is important. Sit the fuck down. Right. You did nothing wrong. You keep trying to meet her halfway all the time. Just stop. Stephanie botched it. So did your mom and aunt. The end of story. Own this power that you were 100% right and they were 100% wrong. Poor kid to her coworker while fully ignoring Stephanie and her husband. What a beautiful karmic slap. Sure, Stephanie must have wished she saw your screen for 2 seconds that day, huh? Man. Cougar status 31. Cougar status 31. Am I a cougar? You turn 31, you're a cougar? Cougar status 31 replies, I especially enjoy reading all the comments calling OP an asshole. It's just a meme. Ha! A meme that cultivated a generation. OP is an angel and protector of all things innocent, and her friend really fucked up in not listening to her when she should have. Now they had to legally change baby Karen's name because grown adults were making fun of it. Stephanie fucked around and eventually found out. Hopefully her daughter will never remember the time where her mom blatantly disregarded good advice and put her in a situation for bullying. Massive consistent situation. Pregnancy hormones or not, Stephanie was the asshole to her friend and her baby girl. Yeah. And Noise Vegetable 7028 comments. I was looking for this comment. Thank you. I read the original posts and updates, kind of going crazy. Like, why are all these people gaslighting this woman? Well, what was that first comment saying? Mostly white. But you really hit the nail on the head. OP was right and her cousin was wrong from day one. As soon as I saw the comments, it's just a meme. It instantly shed light on who was commenting and judging wrongly in this situation, right? Then here's the thing. Sometimes I pick out stories where I don't like the comment section and how it's rolling because they heavily disagree with what I got going on. But sometimes it's a good thing that they disagree, right? Because maybe I'm not thinking straight. Maybe I'm being too brash. Maybe I'm wilding out. Maybe I need to adjust my thinking and think from a different perception, from a different place, right? I need to angle it this way instead of looking at it like this. Then some of these comments sometimes helps move me to a different point, right? And sometimes I'm just thinking, hey, it's not enough. It is most certainly not enough, right? And like some of the stories I didn't pick this time around, comment section pissed me off. Wholeheartedly pissed me off. I was like, delete, X, closed it out. I was not interested. Because how are y'all coming to conclusions calling people assholes and saying that this person sucks, this person isn't doing right, and your opinion is just garbage. Sometimes you get the wrong people dropping comments, and they should not be commenting. From Scout 336, I would like to make one comment about you. You're an incredibly refreshing person. I'm honestly stunned by the empathetic, understanding, and caring approach that you have towards the personalities and idiosyncrasies of your friends and loved ones. For examples, Understanding that your aunt and mother have sort of reactive personalities and not taking what they critically say in the moment too much to heart. Being kind to your dear cousin by simply falling on your sword, or so to speak, when she was upset with your attempt to help her understand her current connotations to a name, and your ability to reflect on your own words and behaviors from the perspective of others and make adaptations accordingly, all speak to your incredible, perceptive, and kind nature. I have no doubt you are an awesome friend, coworker, relative, and so on. Brava to you. I'm so pleased to know that you're out there. P.S. Before you go there, I know you are human. You're just an exceptionally stunning one. Hope he replies, wow, this comment genuinely moved me. Thank you for saying such nice things. Yep. I had to read Scott's comment because OP replied to it. And OP replies only a couple times for this post, this being the last post, but this being such a huge story back in the day and more so recently. We got a deleted user saying, so Stephanie can only dish out. What a great friendship you have, LMAO. I'm sorry, but y'all's friends suck. Your mom and aunt, who I blamed you as well. Your mom and aunt, who I blamed you as well. What? Gosh, I'm glad I have two friends and low contact with crazy people. I feel like I've read this before. Stephanie is genuinely a great friend and good person. She once dropped everything and drove 300 miles because I had been in a relatively... Why do I feel like I've read this already? What the hell is this? Oh, I have read this. This is wrong. No wonder why I'm looking at this like, what the fuck? OP doesn't have any comments. What the fuck? What the hell? OP doesn't have any comments on this last one. Oh, sorry about that. Ugh. Oh. I mean, I guess that kind of sucks for us. All we got is the comment section that's kind of boring. Let's read a long ass comment and keep it pushing. And we'll call it the end for this. By Anafi the Great. I have a lot to say regarding this update and all the previous posts. Firstly, I have no clue how anyone in the original post could have called you the asshole. You were being a good friend and explaining the negative connotation at the time. Think about it. Hundreds of years later, and we don't know girl's name Jezebel. I gotta let that hang in the air. Yet Stephanie not only said you were making fun of her, but refused not only to not listen to you, OP, nor even try to understand, but then doubled down and refused to even look into it, and then sent the flying monkeys after you. If your mom and aunt are like you said, they... Oh, it's been a long day, guys. It's been a long day. I took a break in between reading this very last update to go get my truck taken a look at, and that bitch exploded. So, yeah, fun times. If your mom and aunt are like you said they are, then she knew what telling them would do. There just needs to be a singular comma there. I would have been fine. Yes, I can forgive her for being hormonal and pregnant and probably not thinking clearly, but it took over 4 years for you to get an apology. She should have apologized at least for telling your parents and blowing the situation up within a year of the initial incidents. We're kind of lacking information on that, though. I don't know if we can say that. Then not even when little Carrie is getting bullied in daycare do they think to change her name. They were told the kids viewed it as a cuss word, like asshole or fuckface, and still they didn't change her name. The worst part, however, is that they didn't even consider legally changing her name until they were made fun of. and their parenting and decision skills were mocked and made fun of. Yes, it sucks. A 4-year-old was there for what those TSA agents said, but seriously, she's 4 and highly unlikely she understood her name was being picked on. But your cousin and husband knew, and this time it wasn't their poor daughter being mocked, but them. And now they see it as a problem, and now they want to apologize to you. Oh, I like this perspective. OP, you're taking way too much blame for your cousin's reaction. You were a real one and did her other. Oh, and you were a real one and did what her other so-called friends didn't. Although judging her reaction, I bet they had a reason for not telling her. Sometimes something tells me they knew, but she reacted the way that she did. Oh. Oh. I lost my ability to read during reading this comment. I'm so sorry, you guys. But this right here. Yeah. And see, that's the negative aspects of being raised by her mom. Right. We can kind of garner just the information from what OP gave us for the type of person Stephanie is, right? I like this flip on the perspective because it's like, fuck what her mom and I are talking about, right? Get back up out my face. Back up out my face. Get off my phone with that bullshit. Stop texting me bullshit, right? Stop texting me bullshit. You're old. Go sit down. I like this flip. Yeah, because here I am. I'm coming with the real information. I'm coming with the knowledge that you need to hear, and you're not trying to hear me out. You're on bullshit mode. That would piss me off. I wouldn't want to talk to you. Right? If you shut me down, you shut me out. Right? And then you want to come try to gain some information from me? Face. I'm palming your face. Face. I'm palming your face. No. I get incredibly pissed at things like that. Stop trying to take the easy way out. Stop trying to be lazy, right? I don't want to hear that. Okay. Don't talk to me anymore then. I'm trying to tell you something for a reason. I'm your friend. I've known you for years. I'm your family member. We share blood. If that matters more to you than anything, family over everything, right? Then I am blood. You should be fucking listening to me. I'm your best friend, apparently. You should be listening to me. I know. I know. Ooh, yeah. People don't like being judged themselves. Ooh, I kind of like this. We're going to end it off on that. We're going to leave you with your thoughts, with your thinking, right? Especially if you're a parent. You can think about this. What's more important? The way you're being judged or the way your kids are being treated? Thank you for coming, watching, sticking around for however long that you've been here, especially here. If you're here at the very end, I appreciate you dearly. I want you to have a beautiful day, night, week, month, and year. I have been Mr. Always on 10, and you have been listening to the Intelligent Idiots podcast. I would like to say, donate me some money. My truck blew up.